These are the 5 most powerful companies in the history of technology. Together, they are adding billions of dollars to your electricity bill. This video covers exactly what Amazon, Microsoft, Google, Meta, and a 5th player most people overlook are doing to the American power grid. How the deals they are signing get paid for by ordinary households who never agreed to any of it, and what the real numbers look like. The 5 largest technology companies are collectively spending close to $700 billion per year on AI infrastructure. Not over a decade. Per year. Goldman Sachs estimates $720 billion in AI grid spending by 2030 alone, the largest electricity infrastructure build in American history, compressed into a 6-year window, requiring more power than the existing grid was designed to provide. To get that power, each company has gone to extraordinary lengths. Here's what they are actually doing, one by one. Number 1, Amazon. Amazon Web Services is the largest cloud infrastructure company on Earth and the single biggest driver of data center construction in the United States. In Virginia alone, Amazon has committed $35 billion in new data center investment through 2040. But the deal that reveals how Amazon thinks about the power problem is what it did in Pennsylvania. Amazon signed an $18 billion, 17-year contract with Talen Energy for the output of the Susquehanna nuclear plant, a 1.92 gigawatt facility. The deal was structured as a direct connection from the nuclear plant straight into Amazon's data centers, bypassing the public grid entirely. In the energy industry, this is called a behind-the-meter arrangement. Amazon gets dedicated nuclear power. The region's households lose that generation from the shared grid, which tightens supply and pushes everyone else's prices up. Amazon commissioned its own study arguing its data centers do not raise consumer bills. That study was funded by Amazon. PJM's independent market monitor reached the opposite conclusion. Amazon also signed a ratepayer protection pledge at the White House, committing to pay for grid upgrades its data centers trigger. State consumer advocates are now using that pledge against Amazon in regulatory proceedings because the company has not followed through. Number 2, Microsoft. Microsoft pledged approximately $80 billion in AI data center capital expenditure for fiscal year 2025 alone. To power all of it, Microsoft did something that would have seemed unthinkable 10 years ago. It restarted a dead nuclear power plant. In September 2024, Microsoft signed a 20-year contract for the entire electricity output of 3 Mile Island Unit 1, the Pennsylvania reactor that had shut down in 2019 because it could not compete with cheap natural gas. The plant was renamed the Christopher M. Crane Clean Energy Center. In November 2025, the U.S. Department of Energy gave Constellation Energy a $1 billion federal loan to restart it. Target restart 2027. The customer for essentially all of that electricity is Microsoft's AI infrastructure. When a company commits $80 billion to data centers and uses federal loan money to restart a nuclear plant to power them, the question of who is paying for the grid capacity those data centers require becomes impossible to avoid. In Virginia, the State Corporation Commission approved an increase of approximately $11 per month for typical residential Dominion Energy customers, driven by data center-related grid costs. In Baltimore, that figure was approximately $17 per month. Number 3, Google. Google announced a $9 billion expansion across Virginia through 2026 and contracted with Kairos Power for small modular reactors in Tennessee, targeting 500 megawatts of nuclear output by 2035. But the story that most clearly shows what Google's build-out costs communities is not about electricity. It is about water. Data center cooling requires enormous amounts of it. Lawrence Berkeley National Lab found that U.S. data centers directly consumed 17.4 billion gallons of water in 2023. projected to reach between 38 and 73 billion gallons by 2028, with another 211 billion gallons consumed indirectly through power generation. In Phoenix, Arizona, a desert city already managing severe water stress, data center construction has contributed to conditions requiring specific water ordinances from the Arizona Department of Water Resources, targeting server farm cooling systems. Phoenix is running out of water to cool the machines that answer your Google searches. Number 4. Meta. Meta announced $60 billion to $65 billion in AI infrastructure capital expenditure for 2025. On January 9, 2026, the company announced a 6.6 gigawatt nuclear energy commitment, partnering simultaneously with Constellation Energy, Vistra, TerraPower, and Oklo. For context, 6.6 gigawatts is roughly equivalent to the entire electricity consumption of a mid-sized American state. Meta did not stop there. The company also announced 10 new natural gas power plants in Louisiana, representing a 30% increase to the entire state's generating capacity. 10 gas plants for one company in one state, on top of 6.6 gigawatts of nuclear. And then there is the water in Morgan County, Georgia, where construction of Meta's Stanton Springs data center turned local residents' private well water brown and undrinkable. In May 2026, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez brought 2 jars of that brown water to a House Energy Subcommittee hearing and presented them to an EPA official on live television. Meta disputed any connection. The jars sat on the table in Washington, and the country watched. Number 5 is not a tech company. It is the American power generation industry itself. The gas turbine manufacturers, nuclear operators, and transmission companies now being handed billions in guaranteed revenue by the hyperscalers are quietly extracting those profits from a rate base that covers the entire country. GE Vernova, the largest gas turbine manufacturer in the United States, had a first quarter 2026 order backlog of 100 gigawatts, with delivery slots sold out through 2030. Siemens Energy and Mitsubishi Power both have order books stretching past 2029. The bottleneck in the AI data center buildout is not computer chips. It is power generation equipment. And with hyperscaler demand eliminating all competitive pressure on pricing, the companies making that equipment are charging accordingly. Between September 2024 and May 2026, the 5 major hyperscalers funded, contracted, or restarted more than 12 gigawatts of nuclear capacity. X-Energy held its IPO on April 24, 2026, raising $1 billion in the largest nuclear IPO in history, driven entirely by data center power demand. Joe Dominguez, the Constellation Energy CEO who personally signed the Microsoft deal, told Semaphore in April 2026, "If this is going to be a race between China and the US to build energy, might as well call it a day." Since 2010, China had built the entirety of the US electric grid, plus another 50% on top of it. And the person paying for what the US is now trying to build is you. PJM's capacity auction for the 2026 to 2027 delivery year cleared at $329.17 per megawatt day, the federally approved price cap. The total cost of that single auction was $16.1 billion, up from approximately $2.2 billion just 2 years earlier. PJM's own market monitor found data centers were responsible for 63% of that price increase. The AI economy added $14 billion to PJM ratepayer bills in 2026 alone, spread across 65 million Americans from Illinois to New Jersey. Then there is the Mid-Atlantic Resiliency Link, a 100-mile, $960 million transmission line approved in 2022 under rules that spread its cost across Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Maryland, and Virginia, not just the Virginia counties, where the data centers it serves are actually located. State consumer advocates in Maryland and elsewhere are now arguing before federal regulators that their customers should not be paying for infrastructure, whose primary purpose is to power Amazon and Microsoft campuses in Northern Virginia. Virginia's JLA-RC Commission found a typical Dominion Energy residential customer could see their monthly bill rise $14 to $37 in real terms by 2040. Dominion's own projections put monthly bills potentially climbing from $159 today to as much as $381 by 2045. Amazon, Microsoft, Google, Meta, and the power generation industry that serves them are building the largest electricity infrastructure since the post-war era, financed by a combination of corporate capital, federal loan money, and the utility bills of ordinary Americans who were never asked. The next time your bill arrives higher than expected, you now know the 5 companies most responsible for a significant part of that number. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the Grid Report for more on the corporations reshaping the systems every American pays into, whether they know it or not.